Right.
I'm just going to go ahead and record this.
Okay.
Let me just check my background here. Okay. Well, David, thank you so much for meeting with me. Can I
Sure.
just start with your full name, your spelling? I already have that, but just for clarity and
Sure.
your position.
Yeah. David Eskelsen. That's DavidEskelsen, company spokesman for Rocky Mountain Power.
Great. Thank you, David. So, can we start with just a bit of an overview of what led to the pretty widespread outage last night here in Utah?
Uh, Yesterday at 5:44 p.m., in response to the Sheeprock fire located northeast of Beaver, um, we de-energized a number of substations in the Beaver and Milford area down to Cedar City and as far south as New Harmony. And this was done in anticipation of the proximity of the fire to our electric resources. And there is a transmission line that supplies all of those substations. And our dispatchers, in an abundance of caution, de-energized that according to our fire safety uh, program that we've had in place this year.
Can you tell me sort of the timeline of how many customers were experiencing outages, when power was restored, and where we're at with restoring power for anyone else?
Sure. Um, about 16,000 customers were affected initially. As is our common practice, we try to restore those customers as rapidly as possible. About a half an hour later, 6:15, we began restoring power. We got uh, power re-energized to four of the substations, four of the eight that were affected. Those were New Harmony, several in Cedar City, and in Beaver. At 6:50 p.m., we got the Milford substation restored, and at 7:49, all customers that were affected by that outage were restored to service.
So, in total, the longest waiting customers were waiting for about what, 2 hours maybe?
Yeah, 5:44 to 7:49.
Okay. So, the Sheeprock fire, how far is that from Cedar City?
Well, I don't have a real precise location. It was northeast of Beaver, kind of in the North Creek area. Uh, there is a there is a road called the Sheeprock Road, and that's where the fire was located. But there is electric infrastructure not far from there, and its proximity to the fire's proximity to our equipment was the reason we de-energized that line which supplied those substations.
So, where the fire was close to the equipment, that it was closer to the equipment, and how does that equipment kind of impact the substations in Cedar City?
Right. Well, transmission lines supply energy to substations. Substations convert higher voltage to lower voltage, and then they have lines that go out from the substations to serve neighborhoods and businesses. And so, if you have uh, a fire that is threatening transmission infrastructure, um, you don't want the fire to burn through uh, that power line and create an uncontrolled outage. There's a couple of things that can happen, of course. Um, a lot of our transmission structures are made of wood poles. And of course, they can be vulnerable to fire if it's hot enough. We have been wrapping a lot of our poles in fire-prone area with fireproof wraps to guard against damage. But even if you have steel structures on a transmission line and a wildfire burns through that area, through that right of way, the smoke from a fire can be electrically conductive. And if the smoke is dense enough, it can cause a fault on the transmission line. And an uncontrolled fault is worse than a controlled outage. And so that's why we take a proactive outage uh, when a wildfire encroaches next to our equipment, rather than just trying to tough it out. It's safer for our equipment, safer for our customers' equipment, and of course, firefighters who are active in any such situation. Of course, it's safer for them as well.
I'm curious if there's any indication that there's an issue with the power grid, or was there a more efficient option? Just because it was such a wide outage, so many people were impacted. Is there a way to reduce that impact?
Well, one of the things that we did was we began to restore power within 30 minutes, and when you're talking about wildfire, you're talking about a very dynamic situation, and conditions can change really rapidly. And so taking an outage of that size was, in the judgment of our operations control personnel, the right decision at that moment. And we began work, immediately to evaluate the fire conditions, because restoration is completely dependent upon fire behavior, which is pretty hard to predict. And so uh, the I think the safety measure to de-energize equipment is one that has to be made as the situation develops. So prior notice really can't be given in any kind of with any kind of advance notice. So it's a decision that we make based on the situation as it's developing. There are a lot of variables in wildfire. It has to do with the nature of the fire itself, the humidity, the fuels, the wind direction and speed, and all of those things are factors that we weigh in making the decision to take a proactive outage for safety reasons.
And we are in wildfire season. Knowing that this is the proactive solution that Rocky Mountain Power does have in place, how can people potentially prepare if there were to be another outage? Many people live in very hot areas. This can be stressful on businesses or vulnerable populations. How can people prepare for potential outages should this happen again?
Well, one of the things that we're quite supportive of is the advice of county and state emergency management officials, who advise all of us to be prepared to be without essential public services for up to 72 hours. And these are the kinds of events that they're talking about, because uh, weather, severe weather of any type, whether it's hot summer or cold and stormy winter, can produce outages, and it's very difficult to predict, when or where those things might happen, and particularly when you're talking about, wildfire, very unpredictable behavior in this day and age. And so we have some information on our website at RockyMountainPower.net about making an outage kit. Part of that overall preparedness message that county and state officials have given. So we're very supportive of that, and people should be prepared for the unexpected.
Great. Thank you so much, David, for chatting with me. This
You're
was
most
very
welcome.
informative. I appreciate it.
All right.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.